It is the 5th of August. Rabbi Levitt, Nehemia.
Okay. So who would like to start off the reading today? Don't all jump at once. Okay, so
Yud Zion.
Mayor's going to start.
I will start. Yes. It
Be-
says, Ha'omar Alehem, Atem ro'im hara'a asher anachnu va asher Yushalayim chareva u
That's not pasuk. That's not Bet Zion. Is that what you said, Rabbi?
Yud Zion, I
Good
thought.
Zion. Verse
Yud Zion.
17.
He's
Yud.
right. He's okay.
Okay, so I'll start over. V'amar lehem atem ro'im hara'a asher anachnu va asher Yushalayim chareva usareha needs two va'esh levo lechu v'nivneh et chomat Yerushalayim v'lo nehiyeh od cherpa. So I said to them, you see the bad situation we are in, that Jerusalem is in ruin and its gates have been burned in fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem so that we will no longer be a source of humiliation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's powerful.
What did you say? Will no longer be what?
A source of humiliation.
Yeah, no. Function.
You're
Like I
not
hear a
gonna-
reproach. No longer be.
Oye od cherpa.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the commentary. It says, well, Marlehem. So I said, excuse me. So I said to them, the following day, I said to them, that was Rashi. I guess that was the next
Now,
day.
who is it? Who is it that he's talking to over here? Is that you have to go back to the previous pasuk you have to go back to Tes Zion, and over there you see that they were the Skanim and the Chorim and all the dignitaries and the aristocrats and the bigwigs, the noblemen. Nobody knew that what Nehemia was up to,
Wow.
because he was keeping it all under wraps. So now he's in this pasuk over here. It just says "V'amar lahem." I said to them. So that's the ones that he's saying to now.
Wow. Okay. Let's go on.
Yes.
Says, let me get my magnifying glass. Okay. Asher anachnu va. Okay, the bad situation we are in, we are so badly off because of the oppression of the enemies of Judah. Wow.
Now mind you, we're talking about we have a standing Beis Hamikdash now, right?
Right.
Even though the city is in ruins and the wall has been gone up in smoke from the first Beis Hamikdash that was destroyed. Right?
Right.
I'm just thinking how many years ago that's been already. It's been at least 70 years, probably more than that now. In other words, they came back to start to build the second base of Mikdash 70 years after the destruction of the first, and it took them a certain while to do that, 6 years. And so, and then however long it took for Nehemia to be advised of the situation, and now he's there in Yerushalayim now, and he's dealing with the situation. So that was the first thing that they did, though. Instead of building the walls, the first thing they did was they went right to build the second base of Mikdash and resumed the avoda of the avodas HaKorbanos, ayidei the Kohanim.
Right.
But the city is still in ruins. Okay.
Yeah, so you wonder how they protected themselves without the wall. Huh.
Yeah, lo pashut.
That's
Lo
true.
pashut b'chlal.
Okay, so let's see the next comment. Asher Yerushalayim Arba, that Jerusalem is in ruin. Because Yerushalayim is in ruin, we are not fortified. Oh, here, against our enemies. Well, and because its gates have been ruined by fire, anyone may easily add to the breakage, as someone did last night. And that's the Mitsudos. And the next comment, L'chuva nivneh et chomot Yerushalayim v'lo nihiyeh od harpa. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem so that we will no longer be a source of humiliation. Okay, let us strengthen the walls so that we will be protected, that's the Malbim, and passerbys will no longer humiliate us by breaking them, the Mitsudot.
Yeah, it's interesting. He didn't say in the Nehemia, he didn't say, let's build the wall so that we'll be protected by the enemy. He said, let's build the wall so we won't be humiliated. Sometimes humiliation is even more pressing to a person's well-being than actual safety and protection.
Wow.
Okay, Pasuk Yud Ches. Phil is our visitor today, our guest Talmud for the Nehemia Shir. So we want to recognize his presence, and we honor Phil with reading the second pasuk.
Again, I don't have the art scroll commentary. Let's go. The pasuk we're starting with is the Agid. Agid
Yes.
Lehem, and I told it Yad Elokei. This is the hand of God. A share that he tova, that's good, alive for us. Af divrei hamelech, and also the words of the king, Asher Amali, that said to me, Yomru, we said, Nakum, who said to me, Nakum, we'll establish it, Uboninu, and the Yarzek, Yedeim will strengthen our hand, Latova, for good.
Yeah. Okay, so we have some notes over here. We have a Rashi. Asher Yad Elokai. So first, the Nehemia mentions to them two things. He mentions the what he calls the Yad Elokai, Asher Hitova Alai, the hand of Hashem, which was so good to me. And also he mentions the words of the king. And remember, we're talking here about which king we're talking about? We're talking about Daryavish, King Darius. And this is the second King Darius, the Parsi, who is Esther's son. So Rashi says over here, Shenosan li chen, Hashem gave me chen, batzlacha, lifnei hamelech. He attributes Nehemia all of the success that he had in his encounter, his audience with Daryavish, not to his own sweet talk, not to his own acumen and fortitude, but to the chesed of Hashem. That's why he was matzliach. Toiva, Rashi says, Hakol is kono l'toiva. Everything was directed in the best possible way. Livnos chomos ha'ir umigdoleha. So the king gave him full authority and certification and everything from the king. He gave letters to we saw before in the psukim to go ahead and rebuild the broken down walls of Yerushalayim umigdoleha, and also the tower, the migdal. There's a migdal. Rashi doesn't say which one it was. Maybe it was the migdal. Migdal in Yerushalayim. So that's that. Okay, fine. So let's go to the next pasuk. Pasuk Yutes. Lou, would you like to read pasuk Yutes?
Oishma san valat ha-chor oni v'tovia ha-eved ha-amoni v'geshem ha-arvi v'yal igu lanu vayivzu aleinu vayomru ma hadavar hazeh asher atem osim ha'al hamelech atem mordim. Okay, so it's the Yud Tet is 19. Sanballat and Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite slave, and Geshem the Arab heard. They ridiculed us and were contemptuous of us and said, "What is this thing you are doing? Are you rebelling against the king?" Let's see, the commentary says, they heard. Rashi comments, when they heard that we planned to construct the city walls. And Geshem the Arab, Geshem was an Arabian enemy of the Jews, according to Re Mitrani. Are you rebelling against the king? Are you building the walls of the city as a fortress so that you can rebel against the king? Rashi, Ralbag, and Matudos. Malbim's interpretation, alleged rebellion, differs slightly. Cyrus had issued a decree halting the reconstruction of the city, and the decree of a Persian king could not be repealed. Thus, the enemies alleged construction of the walls constituted rebellion against Cyrus's decree.
Oh, it's Cyrus. Sorry, it's not Daryavish yet. Oh, interesting. Well, according to the Malbim, Cyrus, king of Persia at that time, remember he was the one that originally gave the go-ahead. He was the one who with his command that Klal Yisrael felt safe enough to go up to Eretz Israel with Zerubbabel and to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash, the second Beis Hamikdash. And we saw at that time that they got a lot of trouble from the Kusim, a lot of trouble from the all different the Kuthians, the good Samaritans, a lot of trouble trying, and also particularly we saw the 10 sons of Haman were very prominent in the attack, and they libeled Klal Yisrael to the king and said that they're trying to rebel, and just because they were building the first Beis Hamikdash and second Beis Hamikdash that he gave them permission to do, but something was lost in the translation from Aramaic to Persian and whatever. So at that point, Cyrus issued a decree halting the reconstruction of the city because he believed the accusations of all of these enemies. So now what they're saying is that you're going against the decree, not of Daryavesh, who was the one that Nehemia spoke to, but you're going against the decree of Cyrus, who halted the destruction, the construction of the second Beis Hamikdash, even though it ultimately was resumed with the permission of Daryavesh. It's a little bit complicated. Okay, but bottom line, whenever they're going to have an opportunity to attack and accuse and libel, they'll jump. So that's what they did. Okay, and now we are up to Pasuk Chaf. What did Nehemia say to them? These enemies. This is what he's relating to the Saganim and the Nachorim, the noblemen and the aristocrats. Roy, please, Pasuk Chaf.
וישיב אותם דבר ואומר להם אלוהי השמיים הוא יצלח לנו ואנחנו עבדו נקום ובנינו ולכם אין חלק וצדוק פה וזיכרון ירושלים. And I answered them a word, and I said to them, the God of heaven, he will make us succeed, and we, his servants, will get up and build. But you have no share, charity, or remembrance in Jerusalem.
Wow. Okay, so we have some more notes over here. Oh, wow, we have a lot of notes. A whole lot of notes. This is the last pasuk in Perik base. So with this pasuk, we conclude this Perik. So they have a lot to say over here. So Nehemia answered these enemies, and the Malbim explains that this phrase, Vashivlem Osam Davar, alludes to Nehemia's unrecorded answer to the accusation that the Jews were rebelling against the king. In the previous pasuk, the Jews were accused of disregarding Cyrus's instructions not to rebuild the city of Yerushalayim. Nehemia replied that Cyrus had merely ordered that the city not be rebuilt until a decree is issued by me, as we saw in the pasuk in Ezra. Since the Jews now had King Darius's permission, because now we're holding the king, the reigning king in the world is Darius. He's the one that's calling the shots over here now. And we now have his permission to reconstruct the city walls. And so therefore, this that you're telling us that we're violating Cyrus's instructions not to rebuild the city until I say so, well, we don't have to listen to Cyrus anymore because he's not saying anything. And the one who is saying is Darius, and he's the one that gave us permission to resume the building. So that was the unrecorded reply that Nehemia gave them. And according to the Malbim, this is all alluded to in the fact that it says "Va'ashivosam davar," and I answered them with I gave them an answer. I gave them davar. I gave them some words, but the pasuk doesn't tell us what they are. So this is what we're saying that Nehemia said back. And what the pasuk does say, what we're going to talk about now, is that's not related to the first thing that Nehemia said. Okay, so now Nehemia says, now he's giving them a zog. He's saying, Elokei Hashemayim, hu yatzliach lanu. Even if you should slander us before the king by falsely accusing us of rebellion, your efforts will definitely fail, says the Mitsudas, explaining Nehemia's words. Why? Because Hashem is with us. So that's what Nehemia said back to them. And the Malbim adds,
he doesn't answer the question.
What's the question?
Are you rebelling?
That's what we just got through saying. We just got through saying that what the pasuk is missing the answer that Nehemia answered their accusation.
Right.
Like it's almost like, there's such a thing as, like, there's somebody says something that's so such a farce, and you say, I'm not going to dignify that remark that you made with a reply.
Oh.
Nehemia's first move was to go to Daryavish and speak to him. He was Daryavish's right man in Shushan. And when Nehemia heard what was the situation of the Jews in Yerushalayim, they're living in fear, they're living in humiliation, they're living with embarrassment and shame, not to mention a physical danger. So Nehemia immediately prevailed upon the king to give him permission to go up to Eretz Israel and to try to improve the situation over there. And one of the and specifically he said to him he wants to rebuild the walls. This is we don't have an idea of the gravity of this whole issue of building the wall. We're not used to living in walled cities. Don't have a walled city today. There's no walled city. London's not walled. New York doesn't have a wall. No, there's no such a thing today because the whole it's not necessary to have a wall today. But back then that was their protection. That was their pride and the protection. And so that's what he wanted to do. And they're saying, oh, but Cyrus said that you can't do it. So the pasuk doesn't even mention what Nehemia said back to them, because it's such a silly claim that they're saying. It's so ridiculous. I mean, he's already six feet under this Cyrus. Who cares what he said when he was alive? And the reigning king, Nehemiah's he's got full permission and backing, and he even had a military escort to come into Eretz Israel with the protection of the king. And now these bums are starting up with him and making vain accusations and libels. So, okay. So that's interesting. That it is interesting. You're right. I mean, it is interesting that the pasuk doesn't mention this what Nehemia said back to them to answer the claim. So if you were just reading the psukim and you didn't have the commentaries, you'd say, why is Nehemia answering him like that? Why didn't he answer the question, the accusation that they made? Okay. So further, so the Malbim adds that Hashem and Shemaim will cause all of our activities of rebuilding to succeed and stand as our memorial. So that's what the pasuk does record, that Nehemia did say back to them. V'nachnu avodav, and we are his servants. Because we are his servants, that's why Hashem will cause the king to reject your slander, says the Mitzudas. We are his servants exclusively. We only worship Hashem. But you, on the other hand, you worship Getchkids in addition to him, and are therefore not considered his servants, says the Ralbag. Wow. Right? Because we're talking about we're not mentioning over here. Well, yeah, we did mention who these guys were. Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem the Aravi. So he's saying that even though they do worship Hashem, but they also worship. It's not an exclusive worship of Hashem. They also worship idols, and so therefore, Nehemia is saying we are his exclusive. We serve him exclusively, and the Malbim adds that because we shall build as his servants for the sake of his honor and his glory, and not for our own personal gain, that is why we will be granted success. So it's quite an amazing statement over here that Nehemia is returning them with. And then he adds a few more digs to them. Ulechem ein chelik. But as far as you are concerned, you have no portion at all in this. Why do you involve yourselves in our construction of the city's wall when you have no portion in Yerushalayim? The Malbim, that's what Rashi said. The Malbim explains that Sanballat and the others had no portion in the city because they were not Jews. The city of Yerushalayim is the inheritance of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the Avos of Klal Yisrael. The Rambam explains, you have no part in building Yerushalayim. With these words, Nehemia pronounced Sanballat and the other enemies of the Jews unfit for taking part in the construction of the city's walls. Just as the elders of Israel had disqualified the enemies of Judah and Benjamin from aiding in the rebuilding of the temple in the time of King Cyrus. Because remember, this pasuk over here that they're quoting in Ezra, we saw that the good Samaritans came to Zerubbabel, and they said, "Oh, please let us take part. We want to help you build the Beis Hamikdash." And Zerubbabel thought about it, and he returned to them. He says, "No, sorry, we don't need any help. Thank you very much." After that they started to level their and raise their accusations and libels to Koresh. So you see what type of help they wanted to. You see what type of help they wanted to give the Jews to rebuild the Beis Hamikdash. Although the offer is not recorded in the text, it's evident from Nehemiah's assertion that Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem have no portion in the city of Yerushalayim. The Gemara in Shkolim derives from this pasuk that contributions offered by any non-Jews for the construction of the city of Yerushalayim are not to be accepted, just as their contributions for the temple construction are unacceptable. And we spoke about that previously. It's a Gemara in Erechin. The notes brought this some time back. We didn't see the Gemara inside, but just looking for it right now. Where's the citation to this Gemara in our notes over here? It's on page 11 in the Art Scroll. It's on the bottom left column in the notes. The Talmud in Erechin 6a asserts that donations from non-Jews are not acceptable for the construction of the temple. And then they discuss that further over there.
That's surprising to me because weren't non-Jews able to actually bring karbanos?
Yeah.
So you'd think they'd be able to contribute.
Yeah, we should really take a look at that Gemara. Because there's a lot of questions on the Gemara. Because I remember I looked up in Perek Vav in Sefer Ezra. It seemed like the second Beis Hamikdash was built with the support of Daryavish, and he was the one that gave a command to all of the satraps in the region to empty their coffers to provide for the building and the upkeep and the maintenance of the Beis Hamikdash. And we don't find anywhere that that Ezra or Nehemia or anyone Zerubbabel that they refused the assistance. But maybe it's different when it's coming from the king. That's actually what it says in the top paragraph on the right hand side over here on page 11 in the notes. It says over here that the Gemara itself asks the question, because that's what the issue over here is in Nehemia over here. The issue in Nehemia over here is you take a look. It's on page 11. It's in Pasuk Zion, that Nehemia himself is requesting from Dariabish, if it please the king, let him give me letters for the governors so that they will grant me passage until I arrive in Yehuda, because he needed a safe passageway to get into Eretz Yisrael. There was a lot of enemies of the Jewish people, and they needed the king's backing. And secondly, in Pasuk Ches, it says in a letter for Asaph. Who is he? He's the keeper of the king's forest. So this is the Arzei de Lebanon, the cedars of Lebanon. It's not just a hospital in Los Angeles. It's a real thing. There were cedars in Lebanon, and Dariabish was the melech of the world, and so he now owns the cedars of Lebanon over here. And the one that was in charge over there was Asaph. So Nehemia is asking to give for the king to give a letter so that he can show Asaph that Asaph should give him timber from the king's forest to roof the gates of the temple complex and for the walls of the city. And the king granted this. So Nehemia is asking for support from Dariabish. So the Gemara asks that question. Why then, asked the Talmud, this is in the first paragraph over there, was it permitted to accept timbers from Asaph? The Talmud answers that donations may be accepted from a king, since it's unlikely that imperial policy, once instituted, should be reversed. Thus, it could never be assumed that once the king used the power of his throne to promote the rebuilding of the temple, he would not later reverse himself and hinder its construction. Nor was it likely that the king would later claim sovereignty over the temple once he had publicly proclaimed that its construction was for the Jewish people. So anyway, this is all discussed over there. Yeah, because if you'll ask, the whole svara that the Gemara is saying over there is contradicted by the events that took place in Sefer Ezra, and that's what the next paragraph is all about. This comment is apparently contradicted by the events in Sefer Ezra in chapter 4, when the enemies of Judah and Binyamin persuaded the king to withdraw his approval for the temple's reconstruction. We're talking about the king over there was King Cyrus. He originally did give support, moral support, as well as all other types of support, as well as monetary support. And then it was withdrawn. So that seems to contradict what the what the Gemara says is the reason why we could accept from a king. So, okay, so the Gemara has to deal with that also. So that's a whole discussion over there. But in any case, there is a halacha like that, in other words. So you have to know how it applies, when it applies, what's the circumstances, like all halachas. Okay, so that takes us back to our Gemara. Our pasuk. We're in the middle of discussing our pasuk over here. Yeah, the Ralbag says that what Nehemia was saying was that you're trying to interfere right now with the construction of Yerushalayim indicates and shows very clearly that you have no portion in Yerushalayim. I don't know if that was any consequence to them that really cared about that at all, but in any case, that's what Nehemia wanted to tell them, that you have no chelik in Yerushalayim. Tzedakah, you don't have any merits. Ibn Ezra defines tzedakah here as a righteous act. You may not take part in the righteous act of constructing Yerushalayim. The unmentioned implication over here seems to be that the pasuk doesn't tell us like it did previous, but it sounds like these guys said, "Oh, let us help you to rebuild the walls and the environs of Yerushalayim." Because why is it that they keep saying you're not allowed to take any part in constructing Yerushalayim? You don't have any part in it. You don't have a chelik. Where did we see that they were asking to have a part in it? We don't see that. Seems like that was also something that was not mentioned explicitly in the pasuk. Ralbag refers to his interpretation that the preceding phrase, "you have no part," excluded them from taking part in the construction. He explains that the phrase of or merit or charity was intended to disqualify them from contributing funds for the reconstruction of the walls. Mitsudis understands the mention of merit as an oblique reference to the king's generosity in permitting the Jews to return to Yerushalayim. It was the king's grant that allowed the Jews to return to Yerushalayim. He was charitable to Yerushalayim, but you are not. You cannot claim credit for any meritorious act towards Yerushalayim. V'zikaron, nor a remembrance. The remembrance refers to the sacred objects used at the temple in Yerushalayim, which stood as a memorial to those who donated them, and the enemies could not make such a donation. Ibn Ezra comments, the righteous act of building Yerushalayim causes its participants to be remembered before Hashem. Hashem's remembering refers to his recognition of the good deeds of tzaddikim, which results in his kindness towards them. Hashem says, Zichronos. Oh, the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah. Yeah, we got Rosh Hashanah coming up. The Gemara in Rosh Hashanah says, Zichronos. Say Zichronos before me on Rosh Hashanah, so that your memory should appear before me for the good. The enemies of the Jewish people who were disqualified from performing the mitzvah rebuilding Yerushalayim would not be remembered before Hashem. They had no memorial in Yerushalayim, and according to Malbim, the walls themselves would serve as a memorial to their builders. Only the Jews would be granted divine aid in completing the act of construction. Therefore, only they could have this memorial. Okay. What time is it now? We're supposed to go to,
It's quarter up already.
Oh, we spent the whole time on Nehemia. Okay. Well, I told Phil we are going to do some Bava Metzia.
Okay, we'll try tomorrow then.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's so interesting.
Okay.
It's
All right, Rabbi, thank you so much.
Okay, have a good day.
Okay, all the best,
All right,
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day. So what, tomorrow we're going to do Bava Metzia?
Okay.
Okay,
It's fine with me.
Phil, are you going to be there tomorrow?
I'll be around tomorrow. I should be.
Okay.
To say,
Okay.
most times I just may be on the road if it's a different time. If I'm not disappearing, there's certain days I'm not around at all, but I will be around the next few days, sort of about that time. If not there on the road, if not back, I'll catch it on the video on the the outside with the headphones or whatever, or the drive or whatever. Okay.
Very
Take care.
good. Okay, all the best. Good to see you.